All right, so this is another example of our type 3 quadratic factors with partial fractions, but this time we're going to have a repeated quadratic. So we're going to be doing this right here, just these two in the middle. We're not going to use b though. So our first one would be a over x squared plus 1. And again, I'm writing it large and then we will shrink it. Oops, I forgot the ax. Ax plus b because it's a quadratic. And the next then will become cx plus d with the repeated factor, which is the x plus 1 squared. So now that means we're going to have to take the ax plus b and multiply it by x squared plus 1. And the cx plus d, nothing. It's just plain old cx plus d. It's done. So we multiply this out and we end up with ax cubed plus bx squared. I'm going in order here. So that would be ax cubed and that would be ax. So the bx squared is going to come first. Plus ax plus b. And then we move that over. That would be cx plus d. And then these add up to that one. So x squared plus x plus 1. And then we get excited because we already know a. So I can fill that in. That's 0x cubed. And I know b. So just looking at this, a is equal to 0. B is equal to 1. Let me move this over a bit. Way over there. I don't know what happened there. And then a plus c is equal to 1. And then b plus d is equal to 1. So we already know a and b. Those are done. I'm going to circle them. Done. Done. And so if we plug them in, we get everything else. So we take a plus c equals 1. We make that 0. So we know now, just thinking ahead there, c is 1. And then we know b, so if we plug that in, b plus d equals 1. b is 1. So that means d equals 0. And now we have all of them. Okay, so a here, let me put it in blue. A is 0, b is 1. So that would give us the integral from 0 to square root of 3 of 1 over x squared plus 1 plus, and then our c is 1 and our d is 0. So that would become x over x squared plus 1 squared dx. And this one's actually a quick one to check. So we just have x squared plus 1 here. So if I put x squared plus 1 there, you would get x squared plus 1 plus x, which is our numerator. So that checks out perfectly. I'm going to shrink that to give myself more room. So now we just need to do our parts. So we have the integral of 0 rad 3, 1 over x squared plus 1 dx. And so that's just inverse tangent of x, rad 3 to 0. So inverse tangent of rad 3 minus inverse tangent of 0. And you can use the unit circle. Just to show you a quick trick with the calculator, you already know all the values of your unit circle, right? So we know what we're looking for here. And so it's either going to be pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3. Pi over 4 we already know is going to be 1, so that we don't have to worry about. So really it's just pi over 3 or pi over 6, which is it, right? So if you do inverse tangent rad 3, it gives you that. And then you go, oh, well, that has to be pi over 3, and you just check it, and there it is. Or you can memorize them, or understand them, or use the unit circle. But it just makes you feel a little better. The calculator verifies it. So that's pi over 3. That's 0. And so we end up with pi over 3 for our first radical. And let's highlight that. And we check it at the end. All right, now our next one. So this is 0, still in highlight form. 0 to 3 of x over x squared plus 1 squared dx. And that's also a u. So if we do u equals x squared plus 1, du is equal to 2x. Remember, we always go for the inside. And so that would be du over 2 equals x dx, just to make it a quick substitution. So we now need to change these. So our u here, our x is 0. Which means our u would be 0 squared plus 1, which is 1. And our x equals 3, rad 3. Our u would equal rad 3 squared plus 1, which is 3 plus 1, which is 4. And so we now have 1 to 4. And then our du dx would be 1/2. So du and 1. And then our x squared plus 1 is u. So that's u squared. And so now we can do our quick little change. So 1 to 4, 1/2 u to the negative 2 du. So if we add 1, that's negative 1. So we end up with negative 1 over 2 u. You can take it slow and put it as a negative 1/2 if you want. So negative 1/2 u to the negative 1, which is negative 1 over 2 u, both of which are from 4 to 1. All right, so if we plug that in, we get negative 1 over 2 times 4 minus 1 over 2 times 1. So that's negative 1/8 minus 1/2 times 4 times 4. So that would be negative 5/8. All right, so that is our second one. Now we just have to put them together. So we end up with pi over 3 minus 5/8. That is our answer. So I'm going to put a little squiggly line here. And a little squiggly line there. So we have them broken off. And now we still need to check them. So let's plug in our calculator. And this is why we check. So see, simple errors like this, if I have a negative, that would become a positive. Positive. So really it's 4 take away 1, which is 3/8. Plus, and then now we check in our calculator, see that one was wrong with the minus, forgot it here, and then that one's correct. Always plug in the original, and if you wanted to, you could even go back and plug in the parts to see where your mistake was. But let me highlight that, and there is our actual answer.